So I'll start by sharing a story. This story is of a young girl called Golow. I met Golow in 2017. By then, Golow was 17 years old. Golow was married at a tender age of 16 to a 57-year-old man in Sumbawanga, Tanzania. It did not take long for Golow to get pregnant. And as per normal, 9 months after, she went into labor. Uneducated, being the first pregnancy, she really didn't know what to expect. At home, with her mother-in-law and a traditional birth attendant, something which is very common in developing countries, were there to help her to deliver this first child. All they kept telling her was to push, and pushing she did. After the whole day of pushing, baby was still not coming out. Tired, exhausted, all she was kept told was, push. It is until the next day whereby Golow was just too tired to continue pushing. Mother-in-law kept calling her names. You're lazy, that's why you're not doing it. So then the husband was called and was told, Golow is too lazy to push, and this is why the baby's not coming out. It's the second day of pushing. So her husband decided to boil hot water using a clay pot, and this is something very common in rural areas. Boiled water, it is. And that clay pot was put in the next room. By then, Golow, too tired to even understand what was happening. Stripped naked, the mother-in-law and the traditional birth attendant took Golow to the room where there was hot water. By the time Golow got there, tired, exhausted, she was told to put her feet inside the hot water because that's what will help her to push that baby out. Of course, Golow knew this cannot be right. Even though she was tired, exhausted, she said, no, I'm not going to do this. So the husband came, took her feet, and pushed them inside the hot water. Can I say hot, boiling water? In excruciating pain, Golow was just screaming. Her feet became so bad, skin and flesh was literally falling off her feet. By then, the traditional birth attendant knew there's something horribly wrong here. Even though she was experienced delivering children at home, she knew something was wrong. So what she did, she ran to find Golow's parents, they were not living very far from where Golow was. By then, it was the second day at night. Golow's father rushed through, and he came, and he saw the situation. Immediately, he said, we're going to take Golow to the hospital. By the time they got to the hospital, past midnight, Golow had already lost her child. The following morning, Golow realized something which was not normal. Every time she felt that she was wet, and then she realized urine was just dropping down her legs. She was not able to control that urine. and that urine was coming out through her vagina. This is what it looks like. Golow had experienced this terrible condition called obstetric fistula. And I'm here today to break the silence on obstetric fistula. 75% of these women who get this condition, they have been in labor over 3 days. Obstructed labor for 3 days. And 85% of them, just like Golow, lose their babies. So why does it happen? Poor maternal health. If you're in labor, you're not getting good quality maternal health at the right time, especially when you've got obstructed labor, fistula happens. Now, there are two kinds of fistulas. There's that forms between the bladder and the vagina, a tiny little hole where urine leaks out without being able to control, which is called VVF. Or there's the other one, which is called RVF. That is another hole formed between the rectum and the vagina. And then fecal matter just comes out without being able to control. Unfortunately, some women get both, RVF and VVF. That means they both leak both urine and feces. I am very fortunate. I have 3 girls. I had complications with my first child, but because I was able to access good quality maternal health, I had cesarean section. And this is what is missing with these women. Because sometimes they do get to the hospital, but when they get to the hospital, they don't get either the hospital is not equipped, or they don't get skilled personnel to be able to deliver them safely. The other reason is poverty. These women come from very poor backgrounds. There's a fistula surgeon in Pakistan once said, obstetric fistula is the problem for the poor, and that's why nobody cares. Early marriages and teen pregnancies, just like Golow, their pelvis are just not ready to give birth. And this is why they get this complication of obstetric fistula. Traditional practices, female genital mutilation, FGM, it's another cause. So how bad and how big is this situation in the world context? This is Wembley Stadium, the largest stadium in the UK. At full capacity, it accommodates 90,000 people. World Health Organization tells us every year there are about up to 100,000 women who get fistula. So it's actually just a bit more than this Wembley Stadium at full capacity. As a matter of fact, as we are now, it's estimated 2 million women are actually suffering now with this condition. Well, here's the great news. It is treatable. It is treatable by having a reconstructive surgery to repair that hole so that urine or fecal matter will not be leaking through the vagina. So I'm very privileged because I've met thousands of these women. And these are some of the faces. And each of them have their own story. And each of their story regenerates me every day. The youngest I've met so far is a 12-year-old. Actually, 3 12-year-olds who have got this condition, who had the condition. And the oldest I've met is an 85-year-old BB, grandmother, who had lived with fistula for 65 years. 65 years she was leaking urine. Why? Because she never knew it's a medical condition and that it's treatable. Unfortunately for the 12-year-old, one of them was actually raped by her stepfather. That's why she got pregnant. Now here's a fistula fact about treatment. For each one woman who gets treated, 50 women go without treatment. Hey, hang on. This is just not a number. This is someone's sister, someone's wife, someone's mother. So if this condition is treatable, why are they not going for treatment? Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, is awareness. Still, many people don't know about this condition. As I told you about that grandmother who stayed with fistula for 65 years. So there's a lot of stigma still associated with this condition. Things like, you were sleeping with many men. That's why you got this condition. And so on and so forth. The other reason, the other barrier for them to access treatment is the cost of treatment. As I said, these women are coming from poor backgrounds. Cost of transportation. They come from very far, remote areas. And there are not many hospitals that actually treat or repair obstetric fistula. I spoke to one of the women, and she told me she had to take a boda, which is a motorbike, then hopped on a boat, then get a bus to get to the hospital that treats fistula. All that comes with the cost. The other barrier is the cost for lodging and food. Once they get to the hospital, it's not a day surgery and you go home. They will stay for about 3 to 4 weeks in that hospital. All that comes with the cost. The other barrier is the cultural norms, the hush-hush things that people don't talk about. I spoke to this one woman from Mwanza region, and it was a 62-year-old woman. I asked her, why did it take you so long to come for treatment? She told me, I was waiting for my son to give me permission to go for treatment. That just tells you, when it comes to us women making our own decisions, even our own health, in some cultural norms, we're still waiting for men to make that decision. Now, as if leaking urine or fecal matter was not enough, these women have more than physical scars. They suffer more than just the leaking of the urine. There are social and emotional scars that they face, they encounter. One woman told me their family had to prepare like a little hut outside for her to live in that hut. So she was not even interacting with her own family, let alone the community. These women cannot even go to socialize, cannot go to church, they cannot go to a mosque to praise. Because why? No one wants to associate with them. The emotional scars, I've met so many of them that they become so suicidal, they wanted to take their own lives. So today we're talking about regeneration. What does regeneration mean for these women? You cannot just make them dry like Golow, because Golow got dry after surgery. But we have to look at the social scars and the emotional scars. It is until we look at them and treat them holistically, we can say we have regenerated these women. Now, there are still many women like Golow, now as I speak, are there, hiding, not even knowing that this is a medical condition, that is not their fault, that the medical or the health system failed them. So you're wondering, how can I join Brenda to break the silence? How can I join these efforts to change the lives of these women and to restore their dignity? Well, you can create awareness. You can talk about this condition through your social media, through your platforms. But then you can support organizations and hospitals who have dedicated their resources to change the lives of these women. But these women need more than just that regeneration. They need to be empowered economically because they can go back to their community, stand on their 2 feet, and do something that will generate money for them to be able to cater for their families. So if you have such project that can give skills to these women, think about them. But if you don't have such project, you can support projects and organizations that support these women by giving them skills. Please join me and break the silence on obstetric fistula. What we give voice to has power to make change. Thank you.